Buckle up, y'all. We're talking about feelings. Welcome back. Eric Hattie, Everyday Hustle. Hey, so, 2 episodes in 1 week. I'm on a fucking heater. How about that? I don't know if you guys realize this, but Everyday Hustle, the initials would be EDH, which are also the initials of yours truly, EDH. I had a high school girlfriend who said, my initials stood for evil dickhead. But in reality, it's Eric David Hattie, Everyday Hustle. I wanted to see if I could do a little more play on my initials because I'm a vain motherfucker. And so, Everyday Hustle, everyday. I told my wife that her and her best friend Samantha should have a side podcast called Everyday Heckle, where, Mystery Science Theater 3000 style, they sit as silhouettes in the front row and they just watch my episodes and they're mic'd up and just two yentas talking shit. It's what they do best. They didn't want to do it. So I might use Everyday Heckle and do, reactions to some of the dude bro douchey sales guy motivational shit that comes across my LinkedIn every single day. But along those same lines of, Everyday Hustle, Everyday Heckle. I even thought about doing everyday headlines and talking about the news. But what we're going to do tonight is everyday happiness. And guys, you're going to be so fucking impressed. If you listen to last week's episode, which apparently only like 4 of you did, not that I care, which you would have learned that I don't care about how many, likes, follows, subscribers, listeners, duration, or any of that. I don't care. You would know that though, if you listened to last week's episode, but you didn't. But I not only came in unprepared like I do for every episode, but I was hemming and hawing and umming and just, it was painful. Now, I will tell you, if you listen to it at 1.5x on your podcast app or in YouTube, it's actually pretty tolerable and I sound like a normal human being, but at just 1x play, I wanted to punch myself in the nose. But I tell you all that because tonight I come prepared with show notes. Fuck yeah. So everyday happiness. What is it? Why does it matter? It's probably only going to be a 1 episode thing. But I have put a lot of time and effort and energy in the last 2 years, the last 2 years almost, into being a happier person. And for any of you who know me, you're like, really? Like, have you? Because, I'm still a curmudgeon, stubborn person at heart, wrapped in a jovial motherfucker's body. But I wasn't happy. And it's weird to say that out loud. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with my career. I wasn't happy with my marriage. I wasn't happy with my personal appearance. I wasn't happy. And it was really fucking eating into me. There was very little that was making me happy. And it kind of, came to a head in early 2021. And I needed a change. I needed to do something different. I had spent the last year before that. So, 2020 into 21, we were in COVID lockdown and I had gone from, being on an airplane 150 times a year and, being in a different state every single day. And what I've realized was, honestly, I was just kind of running away from my issues. If I was keeping myself painfully busy and keeping myself on an airplane and in a hotel and on the go, I couldn't stop and think about, how unhappy I was. And so all of a sudden the world comes to a screeching halt. I'm stuck at home, with, a wife and kid who I had never spent more than, 2 weeks with at a time ever. And, it came to a head, and I needed to make a change. There was a lot that just wasn't good. And so Eric being Eric, the first thing that I did, because goddamn, if podcasts and YouTube, promotional advertisements aren't hella persuasive, is I downloaded the Better Health app, or Better Health. I don't fucking know. The premise was, you could do therapy from your phone, which was kind of a must at that point because the world hadn't really opened back up yet. But more importantly, you didn't have to just do, an audio or video session. You could text message back and forth with a therapist, which on paper sounded fucking awesome. Because if I don't actually have to say the words and I can just text them and I can do it, from wherever, great. So I downloaded this app, plugged in my health insurance information, paid my copay, picked a therapist, and the earliest appointment was like 9 weeks out. But don't worry, you could start texting them today. And it was like, okay, cool. So I sent a text message and no reply. At like midnight, I get a canned response. It was like I was talking to a customer service chat robot, and I was just like, this fucking sucks. So I picked a different therapist on there. Same thing. Got to, 10, 11 o'clock at night, got, robo response. And, this one, at least the next available appointment was 6 weeks out. But it was frustrating. I'm an impatient person. And so I said, no, this is dumb. So I actually reached out to our health insurance liaison, at my employer at the time, and, used my benefits liaison to help me find a local therapist that took our insurance, and, was able to get in within like 2 weeks. And it was, video, and it was fucking weird. It was weird that I was coming into a video, basically a Zoom call with a stranger who I'm supposed to just open up to and talk about all my fucking issues and all of my worries and concerns. And I powered through it. The first session or two, and actually, full disclosure, that therapist is who I still see today. So shout out to Victoria, which, side note, I can't say her name without saying it in the Activia jingle. So Victoria, anyway, not important. So, I'm meeting with this person, and this is worse than fucking dating. Because it's very one-sided, so what do you do? Well, I already know what you do. You're a fucking therapist and you're taking my money, regardless of what I say. And, it was weird and it was uncomfortable. And what I realize now that I didn't realize then, is like a lot of things in life, you get what you put into it. And so I was very surface level, very just, I'm going to do the bare minimum to answer your question and be on my way. And it didn't fucking work. I'm going to, weekly therapy sessions, and I'm not feeling any different. I'm, not seeing any improvement in my well-being. And, without going into detail, some events happened later in that year that, all of a sudden I was like, oh, fuck. Okay. I have to go all in. I have to stop being guarded. I have to let the walls down. I have to, just completely open up to this person and pray that I'm not going to be laughed at or ridiculed or mocked or whatever. So long story short, there were, several trends that, kept coming up through therapy. But the one that I want to focus on for this episode, that really ties back to the, everyday happiness aspect of today's very special episode, is there was a theme, and you know, goddamn if my wife hasn't yelled this at me 1,000 times, but it's always, you know, nothing's ever good enough. And it, you know, that's not even just about our marriage. That's about, you know, my career, my income, my car, my capabilities as a father, my ability to video edit, my ability to get more than 6 goddamn listeners on a podcast. You know, nothing's ever good enough. And, you know, not to sound utterly fucking cliche, but you know, you know, what my therapist hit me with eventually was, you know, this is all because of your dad, right? And, you know, then she basically shows her work and repeats back a bunch of, you know, stories and anecdotes and things that I had shared about my childhood and, you know, coming into adulthood and even, you know, interactions with my father, you know, in recent time. And this is not to say that my dad's a bad dad. He's not. He's a fucking phenomenal dad. If you go back like 10 episodes, I have like a 3-hour ode to my father where I interviewed him on a Father's Day a few years ago. You know, Dave Hattie is a good motherfucker, but, you know, what's interesting is, you know, our generation's parents fucked us up. And it wasn't intentional. They were doing the best they could with the tools they had for their generation. Just like, you know, goddamn, if I don't think we're doing the best possible job to raise our daughter and she's still going to be fucked up. That's just how it goes. There is nothing you can do that's going to prevent some everlasting damage from being done with your child. Unless you're fucking, you know, Bandit Healer, the dad on Bluey, your kid's going to have some fucking damage. You know, so anyway, so there were all these interactions with my dad growing up. You know, it created this almost of a chip on my shoulder of nothing's good enough. And it's not even like disappointment that, you know, something's not good enough. It's like this drive of I could do better. I should have done better. Why can't I do better? And, you know, he's probably grinning ear to ear listening to this because he's like, you're goddamn right. Recently, you know, coming out of unemployment, coming into a new job, every therapy session, there was a common theme that she was saying to me, you know, usually as we were wrapping up every session, which was, Eric, you need to be kinder to yourself. And I was like, I don't even know what the fuck that means. You're like, I'm kind to myself. I think I'm awesome. I'm the shit. You know, but I'm also a fat piece of shit and I'm a worthless piece of shit, but I'm the shit. And she's like, oh, see, there he goes again. But it kept being, you need to be kinder to yourself. And a couple weeks ago, I'm randomly scrolling LinkedIn and Scott Galloway, who, by the way, Scott Galloway, if you're one of the 6 people who are listening, I would love to have you as a guest on my podcast, or you can have me as a guest on Pivot with you and Kara. I'm available. Have your people call my people. But so Scott Galloway reshared a you know, basically like why am I explaining this when I can just put it right here? So as you can see, person's on the stairs. I'm still so far from the top. Then, you know, pans out. Look how far they fucking come. And I'll tell you, it felt like I had been punched in the gut by Mike Tyson. Like this resonated so goddamn hard. And I tonight I come prepared with multiple examples of exactly why this resonated so hard with me. Number one is my podcast. You know, yeah, I could be so fixated on, you know, I'm not consistent. I am not prepared. I don't have listeners. I have the same 12, 13, 14 viewers religiously. I love you guys. And you know, that to me is like, God, I still have so far to go. And then after I put out, the last episode earlier this week, I'm digging through my old hard drive where I throw every old podcast episode, and I start pulling them up one by one by one. And I'm going, oh my God, I started with a dog shit webcam and a Shure SM7B. So it was to be expected that this was the picture quality that I launched this podcast with. However, I had a professional grade microphone, professional soundboard, and guess what? It sounded like shit. And then, a couple episodes later, it looks like this. And ignore the fact that my face is a naked mole rat because it went to a good cause and it grew back very fast. But holy shit, we're never going to do that again, right? Now, look at this. I have a new camera, have a new lens. Things are starting to come around. Still hadn't educated myself on proper lighting, on the proper settings for the camera. I had started to figure out, the EQ settings on a microphone. And then you look at this and, hey, we're getting closer. And then, look at us now. We've got phenomenal audio. We've got a phenomenal picture out of an entry-level camera. We've got amazing lighting. We've come all really far away. And now I don't have all of these other things that I can fuck around with. I actually have to start focusing on creating genuine content on a regular schedule and sticking to it. And hey, I'm here for it. That's cool. Game on. Bet. Let's see here. Career. I have beat myself up because I'm not where I thought I was going to be. If you look at my last job, I was reporting to the chief sales officer. All of my counterparts who reported to the same guy were all vice presidents. I was the only guy who was not a vice president, felt I should have been a vice president. I beat myself up about that so hard. And all I had to do is take 2 steps back and look and say, holy shit, the company I joined 5 years ago, I have quintupled my base salary in 4 years. How many people can say they've quintupled their base salary in 4 years? That's pretty fucking impressive, right? It's almost like I'm so focused on what's not happened yet that I have no time to appreciate what has happened. And more importantly, I have no time to appreciate what is right now. Family. I have gone leaps and bounds in the last few years at being a better dad, a better husband, taking better care of the household, staying on top of things around the house. Do I have a long way to go? Sure. Who the fuck doesn't? But taking 2 steps back, taking a gander at everything that I've worked on and put my effort into and taking time to appreciate it. And guess what? It's bringing a little bit of fucking happiness. My wife and I have aggressively paid down a shitload of debt over the past 2 years. And we are right at the precipice of only having cars and houses that are monthly payments going out. No credit card debt. Which is not what we could have said back in 2020. It got a little gnarly because somebody was hedging some bets on himself that weren't paying off at that point. All of that to say that everybody needs a fucking therapist. Like I implore you to go find a therapist and don't stop until you find a therapist that you like. And stick to it religiously. Tuesdays, 10 a.m. That's my therapy time. Love it or hate it. I'm there. There are weeks that I don't want to fucking talk, and there are weeks that I go nonstop and she can't get a fucking word in. There's weeks where it's stupid, incredibly hard, deep conversation, and there's weeks where we just shoot the shit and I avoid my feelings, and sometimes that's okay. But I'll tell you, all of that work and all of that time and all of that effort has made me a happier person. It's made me appreciate all of the things that I have in life. It's made it easier to take on, challenges and adversities that are thrown my way. God help me if I hadn't been in therapy when I got laid off in June. God help me if I hadn't been in therapy when I still hadn't found a job 4-5 months later. Cause that shit was hard. And it's great that I have my family and friends. But sometimes it's nice to have a non-biased third party who's also clinically trained to tell you, stop being a whiny bitch, or, hey, it's okay to be a whiny bitch. It depends on the situation. But if you do nothing from this podcast, but get a therapist, you have succeeded. You are on your way to being a more whole person and being a happier person. And because that is the goal, is everyday happiness. That I didn't even write that fucking little, God damn, I am a fucking genius. Anyway, guys, I appreciate those of you who are listening. Those of you who aren't, you're not here to hear me say, fuck you. No, but in all seriousness, I do appreciate anyone who's coming and listening on the random cadence that I put these out. Truly appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. If you enjoy this, please send it to someone else who could benefit, who would appreciate it, or someone who just needs a chuckle. But folks, I'm Eric Hattie. This is Everyday Hustle, and I promise next one won't suck.